Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I'm Brad, here with Doug.
Hey.
I am really excited to talk about Ghost of Tsushima, which is a game that I had a little bit of interest in before it came out. I was kind of excited, it looked cool, but after finishing it up, and then I've probably put maybe 10 hours in after I finished the main story,
Jeez.
This game is incredible. Yeah, working on the platinum right now, real close. I think I got like 6 trophies left.
That is so freaking weird to me, but continue.
Yeah, that which is not something I do. So the reason being is this game is very much an Assassin's Creed game, that style game, a Ubisoft game, which I don't know the last time I played one of those and enjoyed myself.
No, we usually make fun of them together, so that's why I'm confused. It's usually like, oh boy, did you try Assassin's Creed Odyssey? How far did you get? It's like, yeah, about 5 hours. Me too. And that's usually how those conversations end.
That's pushing it a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
But I love this game for so many reasons. Just to start with, if you've seen anything from this game, it is beautiful. Like crazy good.
See, this is the only reason I'm interested in it, is because I've heard this, and I've heard it's like the greatest game ever.
Just walking around
Yeah.
is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're walking around, you see all these different things. There's different environments. You go to the snowy mountains, you go to these beautiful forests, these like flower-covered fields, and just everything looks like it's filmed out of a movie, and it's that shot in that movie where you're just like, oh, they spent so much time trying to get that angle right.
Yeah.
But those just happen all the time.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of cool.
So whatever the video game equivalent of cinematography is,
Sure.
this game nails it every single time.
Are they repetitive, or is it, or like, are they unique? Okay, so I guess the question with like the uniqueness of the environments, are they visually unique but maybe gameplay wise they're pretty similar, or is it like if you're in the forest, does it matter that you're in the forest or the snow, or does it actually affect anything?
The one time that I ran across that it affected it, there's one side quest where you have to climb a mountain.
Yeah.
And you have to like find fires along the way because your character is too cold. That's really the only time the environment plays into gameplay.
Okay.
The rest of it, it's pretty much just your straightforward combat. You're just in different, really, really well-designed, well-illustrated areas where just everything looks flawless. The way the wind moves through it, the way the weather moves through it. The snow effects are just amazing coming down when you get to the snow part. When it's raining and thundering, it just has this really cool just feeling and look to it. And it's just, I could just like my favorite thing is just to pick and, ooh, what's that new spot over there that I haven't been to, and just ride my horse there.
It sounds like, but I mean, okay, so I got you. I was following you. I was like, okay, beautiful environments. I get it. And then you're like, Doug, there was a point on this map, and boy, did I want to see it. It's just like, that's the shit. I understand why people like this game. I don't understand why you like this game. So I can understand beauty stuff. Okay, I'll give you beauty. So I guess what was your driving force to the game? Because I guess we haven't really talked about the gameplay and stuff. Like, was driving you forward to play more of the game? Was driving for you to like see more of the scenery? Or like, what was driving you forward? And like, I guess first of all, what's driving you forward? And then how was it doing things different than other Assassin's Creed games where you normally bounce off?
Okay, so the driving force is just seeing the different places. Even now, after I finish the game, you maybe, I think in the main story, probably see maybe 40% of the total island.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay.
So like as you go, because you basically just work your way north is essentially the way the game works.
Sure.
That's not like quote unquote your goal, but every area for whatever reason, the main castle you're trying to get to or the main fort you're trying to get to is on the north end of that part of the island. So you basically just work your way north. It goes through more or less, I mean, you can probably play this in a pretty linear path straight down the middle of the island.
Yeah. That's what I thought you would do.
Me too. That's why I said this is a little different. But just after seeing that 40%, it's just this constant like, what's over there? Because every time you go somewhere, you see something cool. Like a couple days ago, this was probably maybe 3 or 4 hours after I finished the main story, I found just a completely burned down forest. And just walking through this forest looks nothing like I'd seen in the entire rest of the game. And I'd already beaten the game, played 3 or 4 hours post-game, and it's just an area that I'd never seen. Some of the things, most of the collectible things are all hidden stuff. So, like, you go find it, and one of them you follow these little foxes to a shrine.
Yeah.
And those, like, one of them you'll find the shrine to be in the middle of the field. You'll walk maybe 100 meters or something to the edge of a cliff, and then it'll kind of lead you down the cliff, and you're standing next to this waterfall running out into the sea where the shrine is.
Oh, okay. So there is like unique, because when I play like Assassin's Creed or something like that, it feels like once I've seen like a corner of the city, I've seen all the corners of the city. But this actually has like, this doesn't have that. It's what you're saying is like you're actually like, as I go out in the world, I'm actually seeing new things. I'm not seeing a repeated asset sort of.
Yeah. Very rarely.
Cool. Oh shit, that's
very
cool.
rarely do you feel like you see a repeated thing. I think maybe the closest you get is there's like the gold forest. There's a forest with red leaves, a forest with white leaves. Some of the forests might look similar, but I mean, there's not much you can do with a tree. But I mean, you go from the bottom, you start, and it's kind of wooded areas. There's a huge open marsh and swampland in the middle that you ride through. There's big snow-covered forests and mountains in the tops. I mean, you go through about every environment you can think of on this island.
So you're not. So I guess what I think is like you're not like when you're done with the game, you're not sitting there like doing Riddler trophies, going to like back to retreading your steps. When you're done with the game, you're like, I'm going to go see something new.
A lot of it, yeah. I mean, some of it obviously you're back to the same cities, and some of them are this is just 2 kilometers left of where I went and said so. A lot of it is going there. And the game does a good job of just giving you these things. So, like, when you go, there are Assassin's Creed tower climbs.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Are,
okay, sure.
Are lighthouses. There's only, I think there's 8. I just got the last one earlier today. Mm-hmm. But when you climb them, they're always on this, like, alcove into the ocean. So you're, like, looking back. And they're not super tall. They're maybe, like, 2 ladders. They're probably not even the tallest things in the game. But when you look back, they're always set up so you either get this really cool look down like the shoreline of the island and the draw distance is really, really good, or you're looking backwards over to like everywhere you've been getting there. You do haikus, which you basically just...
I've heard about this,
are like pre-positioned spots, and like, we just need you to sit here and look at what we did. We're going to give you this little like, pick these things, but really all we did is, this was a pretty spot and you're going to look at it for about a minute or two because... We are very proud of what we just did.
Oh no, because Abzu did that, and I loved that. Where you just like sit and look at fish for a bit. It's like, oh shit.
It's the same thing, and it's so good.
So I guess we haven't even really talked about the gameplay. Like, was the gameplay was it good? Is it fun to play?
So you brought up gameplay, but before we get there, the last thing I want to talk about with the way this game looks, the main thing that I hate about Assassin's Creed games is I hate when you're just standing on a hill and there's like gold circle, yellow diamond, pink tree, and you just see all these different things clouding everywhere. There is nothing on your screen this entire game. There is no HUD. Boy. There are no words.
You're speaking
there
my
are
language.
Exactly. And it stressed me out for the first like hour. I was like, how the hell? The wind. Follow the wind. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And as you're going, you don't even, so you can swipe up on the touchpad and it'll do a big gust of wind in the direction you need to go, which is very clear, like, oh, I just need to go this way.
Sure.
And when you do that, it'll just say whatever your objective is. So it'll be like, whatever village, 4 kilometers. And the wind just blows in that direction.
Is that for your main objective though? So how does it
you can set it with pins. So whatever you want to go. So you go into the map, you pick, I want to go to, there's question marks on the map, and you can go, I want to go to this question mark, and it'll just blow towards the question mark.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And the first thing, my issue was when they said this in the trailer, I was like, that's so corny, that's so stupid. Yeah. They contextualize it in the first 10 minutes in a fantastic way. So it completely fits in the game.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Where it's not even like, this is weird that I'm following the wind. It's just, this makes sense. This is why this is happening for you.
That's cool. So cool. Yeah, because I think the one way to kill, I think actually with like Ubisoft games in particular, that's the thing that like absolutely killed the mystery of Assassin's Creed Odyssey for me was just seeing all the like exactly what you said, is seeing all those markers. It's like, you're telling me this is a video game. Like, let me just believe I am like some sort of like Greek goddess Spartan lady taking on the world. Don't tell me that like, if you go here you will get this spear. Although this one does do that, doesn't it?
So if you open up the map, you have to pause, and then if you open up the map, it'll just have little like things on there to tell you where to go. So it's still there, but it's hidden. And you can play a lot of the game without it, because when you get close to things, a golden bird will show up, and that bird, if you follow it, will lead you to things.
Yeah.
So that's there, but I think it's just, it never has that overwhelming feeling. Because that was my problem with Assassin's Creed. I stood on that mountain, Odyssey in particular, and I just looked and I was like, I don't know. What? Just tell me.
My realization with Assassin's Creed is that it doesn't matter. And like, actually, I was listening to some stuff. They don't care. It doesn't matter. They made it so everybody wins, sort of thing. But
exactly. Whereas this, it's like, yeah, you've got your main story, but you can kind of go through and do anything you want. I know you want to get to combat, but just even with this, I don't do side stories in games, mostly just because at this point I don't have time for that. Normally when I'm playing a game, I've got my time to get through my game and then let's move on, because that's all the time I got. But the side stories in this actually have good context. They're interesting, and they work really well in terms of the way the overall main story is laid out for most of them. And they just have interesting setups, and most of them aren't just like, hey, I need you to go get 3 more swords from the guy down the road. They do start to fall into a similar pattern, but most of them fall into that similar pattern, but there's enough context that changes it that makes them interesting to follow through on.
So my question is with side quest stuff is like, so why in this game did you go to a side quest, but in a Yakuza game you didn't?
Good question. I think Yakuza gets that overwhelming thing where it's like there are 900 of these.
Oh, sure.
And
okay, that makes sense.
I think these are very well laid out, that as soon as a lot of them just pop up as soon as you're walking past a person. So like earlier today, there was just a dude puking on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And you're walking past and just like, boop. And it says like, investigate why the guy's puking on the side of the road.
Okay, sure. Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of what those do, but it's just, I guess, the way this game looks, it's so interesting whenever you go to this place. Like that one I did, and it was like, oh yeah, here's like his little cabin on the mountain, and somebody tried to poison his family. But you're climbing this mountain up to the top to figure out what happened. So you're seeing these different environments, whereas Yakuza, it's just go back to the same club you've been to 6 times.
Yeah, mechanically they're terrible.
But this time talk to the guy in the blue suit, not the red suit.
Sure. So it's like they're mechanically interesting on top of also being like having an interesting hook to them.
Exactly.
Okay.
So gameplay, combat.
Yeah. So I don't know how far we're into this thing. I don't know, like 9-10 minutes into it. It's like, oh, I love game.
Yeah, there's a game here. This isn't just walking around. The combat is amazing. The first thing, there's no lock on. There's no lock on. No lock on. There's no.
Why is that good?
No lock on.
Why are you so excited to talk about no lock on?
I was confused about this at first. And it was so jarring at first. I just felt like I was flailing. But because Jin moves so fast between guys, it almost feels like Batman Arkham combat. Which, again, you're just flying between guys because Batman moves so much quicker than them.
Sure.
It has that same feeling where you're like, okay, I am this quick that I'm going to swing once at this guy. I'm going to do heavy attack, swing behind me, get this guy, counter this guy. It very much is a great take on that Arkham combat, along with kind of your quick throw items, all those kind of things. It's just so much fun. And the lock-on I think, would have just bogged it down, because I was so mad those first 4 or 5 fights. I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just swinging wildly at whoever, and I'm missing people. And as you kind of go through it, the way that the game progresses is you get different stances. Yeah. So, like, you'll have a stance that's good against sword people, against guys with shields, against guys with spears, against big, I don't remember what they call them, like the big brute style guys. Sure. And you end up needing to switch styles kind of on the fly. So, like, I'll hit this guy, and then, got to switch over to this style. Okay, I'm going to drop a smoke bomb. And it has that really good loop of being simple enough that it's fun, but complex enough that you're not bored with it.
Do you feel like, so with Arkham games, I always felt like sometimes what was happening on screen was like almost like too chaotic. I could sort of like kind of generally guide Batman in the direction I wanted to punch people. Does this feel a little bit more controlled than that, or? Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Very controlled. I think by 3 or 4 hours in, I don't think I was ever going in the wrong direction or missing, or like, I wanted to hit the guy there, not that guy.
Yeah, because Batman, just like when you're fighting 20 guys in Batman, he's just like going all over the place. Like, well, I'll block that one guy whose head just lit up. But
the head lit up, and this does the same thing. You get red for dodge ones, then you can parry everything, of course, that comes at you for the most part. But the other couple things it does standoffs, which are really cool.
Yeah, I've heard about those. That sounds cool.
So basically, you walk into an area. You can do some stealth stuff, which just has the perfect level of stealth for me, which is like kind of broken.
Yeah, I was gonna say like not stealth. I know you like stealth games. It's like if a guy's not looking at me, I don't want him to hear me. I just want to smack him.
I'm really clearly, probably he can see me out of the periphery of his eye, but I'm not in front of him, so I'm good. Which is my style of stealth. I can't.
Yeah, you like the dumb AI stealth. I mean, that's what you.
Oh yeah, then it's fun. I don't need like, my foot hit a grate and now I was walking too loud.
Hitman stealth. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. You have the ability to do standoffs, which is basically just you walk up and then it does like this cool little dual animation again, like cinematography. The camera's on top of you and then it pans down kind of to the side and behind you. and then all you do is you just hold circle and you have to time, or triangle, and you time it right, and you auto kill the first guy. As you level up, you can chain it up to 5.
Yeah.
So you basically can just walk in and auto kill 5 guys as soon
So
as you start
are you swapping, like, are you playing when you're doing that? Are you doing that because it's cool, or because, like, I guess the decision to me is like, so if I'm coming upon a group of guys, I can decide whether or not to do a standoff, or whether or not to do, like, just I can start attacking guys or whatever. So did you feel like it was more appropriate sometimes to use the standoff because it was like it kind of is cool in character to do a standoff, or just kind of a cool thing to do, or like there's other times where you're going and like just wailing, or do you always just do one or the other?
I kind of go back and forth. There's like a couple, like there was one of the like liberate the fort, generic tile missions, but you cross like a big bridge over the river. So I'm walking across the river, it's like you have to, like,
you
I'm
have
not
to
gonna...
yeah. Well, that's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking.
No,
that's
there's totally
cool.
things like that where it's just like, again, the way I play this is like it does such a good job of putting you in that like samurai movie mindset of like, I know if I do this, the game's gonna make it look real cool, and it's gonna feel real cool to do.
Yeah, because I think the one thing I kind of like hearing you say over and over again is like, because it took us this long to get to gameplay. It's like you're not it seems like it's taken away a lot of this stuff an open world game can take you out of the experience and make it feel like you're playing a video game. And it seems like it's done its best to try to get rid of that as much as possible and just like be in the world.
It hides the numbers, right?
Cool.
You've got,
damn.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You've got the first person shooters where you're shooting the guy your Borderlands and it's popping 14, numbers. 13, 26 out of his head. And then you've got the ones where you're like, I leveled up this gun. It's doing more damage, I'm pretty sure, but I can't tell. It does that, like, all of your upgrades. So you have one sword you just upgraded. I think you can upgrade it 5 times.
Okay.
And it just does more damage. It doesn't
say it got plus 25. It just says, oh, dude.
It's 1 bar. You upgrade it once, it goes to like 20%. You upgrade it again, it's at 40. You upgrade, and then your armor never does like, oh, you get plus 28. It's okay. This armor does a moderate increase in damage. This one does a minor increase in stealth.
Man, this is like totally speaking my language. Man, I love.
You would love this.
This sounds awesome. God damn, dude.
So it's always stuff like that. It's never like plus 20. It hides all those numbers. It hides all those objective markers. It's just get in this game and enjoy this world that we created, and it's fun. Like I said, one of my favorite things is just picking a question mark on the map and just riding to that area of the map that I've never been to before.
This sounds like how I want to enjoy those kind of games.
It is, yes. It literally, if you were to take my list of everything I hate about open world games, it's like, gone. Okay, get rid of it. You're right. Get rid of it. Got it.
That's really funny because I kept hearing, like, when I hear like people criticize this game, they say it's like too similar to like a lot of open world games, but it seems like they actually did this kind of smartly, about like what to do, like how to use that format but get rid of the BS stuff. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, if you really were to narrow this down, it's an Assassin's Creed game with some Arkham combat that's pretty well done, that looks really good.
Okay.
I mean, if you really narrowed it down, that's really what it is. It is.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it doesn't do anything to revolutionize open world games.
Sure.
But it does minor improvements in every single category down the list. So it's this but better. This just a little bit better. This but more refined. This but simplified to make it more fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of what the thing you just been repeating over and over again is that just took out a lot of the markers, which is cool.
Yeah, everything's gone. It hides it. You're not playing a video game. You're just riding around on your horse.
Did you like? Did the story drive you forward or no? I mean, I don't want to get too much into it because I'm actually curious about the story. So
the story's okay. The Mongols come and invade your island, and you go, not on my island.
Yeah. And is it enough? Did the characters and stuff make you curious enough to kind of? Well, the one thing, because the thing I asked you was driving you forward was like the scenery. Is there anything in the plot also kind of, even if it's not a great plot? I'm usually okay with like not great plots because as long as it drives me forward.
The overall plot's fine. The characters are really well done. What you kind of realized, I realized probably towards the end of its 3 acts, towards the end of Act 2, the story's more so a character-driven narrative more than a like this is what's happening. It's more how is Jin personally dealing with this.
Okay.
Because I mean, if I told you the 3 setups for this game, you could guess the ending.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
But the thing that happens is basically Jin fights this duality of like, I was raised to be this honorable samurai, and samurai we don't do this.
Yeah.
We don't do this. We don't do that. We are honorable. We follow this code. But as he goes through, he's like, but the Mongols don't. They
Oh,
don't
interesting.
give a
Yeah.
shit if I'm standing there with my sword. They will send another guy around and just stab me in the back, and I'm out.
Yeah, yeah.
So he has this realization, and then it's kind of him fighting with some of the other characters of how far do I push this against my honor as a samurai, to the point where am I just becoming as horrible as one of the Mongols? Am I just falling into the... And it's all character driven as you go through.
Yeah, okay, that sounds interesting enough. I've never wanted to be picky about stories. I was just kind of curious, like how you felt with the characters and stuff. So it sounds like the characters are kind of like they're neat and interesting and that kind of thing. And
Yep. And then most of the main characters actually turn into side quests too. So
cool. Okay.
You'll meet a character, you'll do like a mission with them where it makes sense. You'll leave them where, you know what I mean? They don't force the characters along with you for the entire story, but it's almost kind of Mass Effect-y, and the like, go recruit this guy.
Oh, sure.
Go talk.
Okay. Yeah.
And then once you do their little like, oh yeah, like we got them there with us, they'll spin off into like, okay, here's like my actual story of like, okay, this person killed my family and now I'm seeking revenge. Will you come help me get revenge? And it does that kind of Mass Effect path of like.
And are those interesting? Are those like more well done than the normal sides? Okay.
Yeah, those are definitely, they put more time in there, and there's some interesting characters that kind of come in with those. Yeah, so plot shaky, but I appreciate it more because they went for character more than just this real solid plot line. It's what's going on with Jin. How is Jin affected by all of this?
Gotcha. Cool.
The last thing, which is probably my favorite, and I'm really nervous that this trophy is going to pop up because there's a trophy for doing all of them, are the duels in this game.
They're like, okay, keep going. Yeah.
So duels are basically boss fights, which are basically you walk in, it does the awesome, like, behind the back, almost Western style, like, cape blown in the wind shot for both of you.
Sure.
The other guy, like, has his hand, like, tense on his sword, and you, like, every time you're like, oh, yeah, here we go, because Jin reaches down and does, like, this thumb movement and just pops his sword out of the sheath. And every time you're like, oh, yeah, let's go. But essentially, it uses the same combat, but the difference is it's just one-on-one in kind of a circle arena, almost Yakuza, where it's like, oh, we're just going to zoom in on this one fight.
Okay, sure, yeah.
And it's just one-on-one, it's all parries, it's dodging, and it's this really refined section of combat where you have to know what you're doing. You have to be able to, okay, I know what I need to parry, I know where I need to dodge. To throw something out there again that's going to like, it feels to me what Bloodborne should feel like.
God damn you.
Like,
no, don't. How dare you? How dare you invoke that name?
Like,
you get that name out of your mouth.
Bloodborne does this where it's like you have to dodge this attack perfectly, you have to do this, but the windows are so small and the game's so stupid that it like makes you
No, I get what you mean. Yeah,
but this, like, it's doable.
Where
it's like, I don't feel like, oh god, I'm going to do this 17 times and I'm going to die every time. It's, okay, this might take 2 or 3 tries, but once I figure out, okay, the enemy's attack pattern does this. Okay, when he lines this up, that's for sure I can't, if I dodge real quick, I can get a quick attack in. Or, okay, I need to really hit his stagger bar to get him down.
I've noticed a lot of games recently seem to actually be willing to put a little bit more pressure on people, which I'm liking. It seems like it's just enough. It's like, this is actually kind of challenging. I need to actually think about this for a second.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, no.
It's definitely not difficult. It's an easy game. It's definitely not a difficult game.
I might pop up the difficulty on this one. I'm just curious. Yeah.
They did the patch they put out just added another harder one. I haven't touched that though. But
I don't want like super crazy, survival difficulty. Just give me like a little bit.
I played on normal. There's a hard, so there you go.
But,
last thing with these duels is they always take place again just in like the most beautiful spots.
Oh, cool.
They did the first one. There's 5 of them that you just run into in the environment, like on the open world.
Yeah.
It does tie into a side quest as well, but you just kind of pop into them. Didn't know what was going on. It was pretty early in the game.
Oh, so you didn't know what duel was?
I think I did like 1 or 2 before it, but I didn't know they were just scattered around the environment. So you just walk in here, and this dude's just sitting on a rock, and then it just zooms in, and it's in the swampy area with fog coming out of that, and the sun setting in the... Oh, it's so good.
I'm so mad at you because I'm going to spend $60 on this, and I better like it.
It's so good.
No, it sounds awesome. It sounds really cool. I think the only thing I'm a little hesitant on is like I heard there's not really like a lot of fantasy aspects like at all because it's just not that kind of game. But it's a hardcore. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is, you fight sword guy and shield guy and spear guy, and they get heavier armor as you go through the game.
No, why would you say that? I don't like that.
No, I know. trying to save you $60 here, but
No,
you should
but
probably spend those $60.
I don't know. My new not new, but like newish HDR TV is like I've heard that can look really good. It's like, all right,
I'll bet it.
fine.
Yeah, it look real good.
It does. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Shit. Well, once I finish my class and finish my speech I have to give, then this seems like a good cool off thing.
For sure. Anyway, we are Workforce Gaming. You can follow us on Twitter at Workforce Gaming. Subscribe to us wherever you're listening, and we will see you later.
Bye.